Death be not proud.
Alright, you ignorant pigs, put down your crack pipes and your beer bongs. It's time for the Holy Diver Show, and this is kind of an impromptu show. On today's show, we are going to have, first and foremost, what makes Holy Diver sad? Then after that, we got 40K and the going-ons of the Crusade, and my thoughts on the Ork book. So there's like kind of an Ork book review in this one. So if you're all about 40K and the 40K Orks, and I know a lot of you are, especially from my earlier days when I did do 40K battle reports and 40K content, you guys, I appreciate those who have stuck around, because, you know, I've been playing Greenskins for about 20 years almost, and I don't see myself ever stopping. Been doing a little bit of boxing and exercising, and then building an AD&D character with DM James, who I've also been checking out on some of his live feeds, just hanging out, shooting the shit. Really good stuff there. And finally, we're going to have like an Ork showcase, and this is where I kind of come in and tell you who's who amongst the units and everything. But first, let's go to what makes Holy Diver sad.
So this is what makes Holy Diver sad. This is Rainy Day Glutton, and apparently this fat ass makes $400 a month on Patreon, and all she does is that. Thank you, you cheap bastards. And this has been an edition of Why Holy Diver is Sad.
It makes me sad when I find out that she's making $400 a month on Patreon, and she's getting like 500 likes a video. You cheap pieces of shit, at least have the decency to throw a like up on this video and help me ratio a little better. None of this grows without you, and that is officially what makes Holy Diver sad today. That's gotta be one of the most revolting things I've ever seen. She makes $400 a month on YouTube by doing this with her gut. Well, how much do you think I get for my dad body? I probably don't get that much. Anyway, I blame you for at least not liking my videos enough to help me ratio higher, you ignorant pigs.
I hope you choke on semen, you fucktard! Keep your goddamn game!
So let's go into the next category here, which is Orks 40K review and the goings-on of the Crusade that I've been embroiled in. So back in August, we started a Crusade, and it's still going on today. And basically, there's still some work I need to do. I just finished a truck last night. It was this truck right here, actually, so that I'd have 3 trucks for the Army. And I still need to rebase 1 unit of Tank Busters, rebase my Storm Boys and Burna Boys, but other than that, the work has come along quite well. I finished over 60 boys of the new models, the new monopose kits that they got out. And so I've had a lot of time to sample this book. I think more time than most. I know there are a lot of tournament gamers out there that run numbers all the time. Bleep those guys. They're a bunch of scrubs as far as I'm concerned. So this is kind of like my Ork Codex review. Ork Codex regrets. Ork knobs. No fill, no pain on a 5+ for being a knob. Normal knobs on foot, still meh. No survivability, and power weapons that all subtract -1 to hit. So you need a 4+ in melee with your power claws. The power fists are the same way, but I think it should still be a 3+ for the Orks. But that's still kind of just like a problem. Not to mention you have, if you have an Ork with a combi weapon, you can only shoot 1 weapon on that combi weapon. If you decide to shoot both, you have to subtract a further +1. I have never used both weapons on a combi weapon. I should start doing the shooters when I stand and shoot and everything on some of my combi weapons, but again, it's just like, it's apples and oranges. Everything is a subtraction to these guys, you know. It's like, how do we make a really cool army and then hinder it at every path we can? That's Codex Orks. The Mega Knobs still have a 2+, and they have every guy has the flamethrower option, you know. So that's a bonus. They all could have been cyborgs, each with each time the unit suffers a wound, -1 from the attack's wound roll. That would have been really good too. You didn't get that, so you got big choppers should be AP2, not AP1. And if they were AP2, you would see a crap ton of knobs come off of the shelf, because everybody who plays Orks, who for any mana come of time, they all have a knobs unit. They all have a knobs unit, and it's done nothing but sit on a bleeping shelf and do absolutely nothing. Because, you know, let's face it, if big choppers were strength, their strengths, if you're goth, they're actually strength 8 when you charge. They'd be AP2 and 2 damage each. That's just a marine ender. That's also a vehicle ender as well. So, you know, I mean, that not being AP2 kind of hurts them there for the big choppa option. 6+ invulnerable save. They don't got it. They don't got it for being a knob. I say 5+ when the knob is on a bike, but they relegated knob war bikers to legends. You have to use Forge World rules to use them, and I haven't checked the Forge World rules for them. And I know that there's a Speed Wall book out for Crusades. I'd have to check that out. So this is minus that. So if somebody knows more about the new Ork Speed Wall rules and everything, if they gave anything else to knob bikers, let me know. But I doubt that they did, because they continuously like to bleep the knobs in the butt. You have to buy the mega knobs, which I'm all for. You know, I'm all for buying the mega knobs, but I don't think that $63 is enough for 3 guys. I think you should have to pay $100 for 3 guys. And hashtag let's price poor people out of the hobby. I mean, we've already proven that you're willing to pay $10 a model in some cases, sometimes $15 a model, not to mention $30 a model or even $60 a model. Why not every box or clamp pack that Games Workshop sells just starts at the price of $100? I think that would be a pretty good thing. I took a look at some of the specialist mobs. The Trucker Boys thing is actually pretty good, but you actually see where they went almost with this. If you misread the line, oh, you would have had some heads roll, and everybody would have just lost their shit right there. So Truck Boys, add +1 to ranged to hit rolls for okay, you could have had +1 to range to hit rolls if you're in the truck. They didn't do it that way, but it almost reads that way if you upon first glance when you skim through it, all right? So this would have actually been really good, reliable damage output. I think that if they had gone this route, you would have seen 2 units of tank busters in every single army, and they all would have hit vehicles on 3s because they have a +1 to shoot vehicles. So hitting vehicles on 3 with strength 8 rockets -2 would have been good. Ludas hitting on 4+ with DACA weapons, that also would have been really good. And then Flash Gits just hitting on a 3+ in general would have been great. You would have seen a lot of shit in trucks. And they almost went that way. And like I said, if you read the rule at first glance, that's what it looks like it says, but it doesn't say that. And it tells me that the writers thought about this. The writers of the book thought about this, but they didn't go there. And you have to have the knobs or war boss or boys keyword. Conveniently enough, tank busters, ludas, and flash gits do not have those keywords. Burna Boys, with their flamethrowers that hit automatically, have the boys keyword. Commandos don't have it. However, that hitting automatically with flamethrowers from out of a truck just negates the premise that could have come into being here. The huge bonus is that mega knobs have the knobs keyword. So just keep track of this. I'm getting to my point here. Knobs might be useful if you could have given them all combi rockets, and you would have had, for 6 power, another unit of guys who can shoot rockets and hit on a 4+ if they wrote the rule this way. But they didn't. Instead, they gave the +1 ballistic skill to the fucking truck itself. What the hell? So when I got guys in the truck, my big shooter that will do absolutely nothing goes to hitting on 4s. Wow, I hit twice. Let's see if we're gonna have a laugh here. Oh, you didn't win. Okay, it's one of those things that, like I said, at first glance, you get hope. you get this thing called hope because you have nothing that's really that good at just popping vehicles from across the board, and this would have given you some hope. If you had tank busters that hit on 3s, and in some cases during the run of a Crusade, Veteran Warrior rerolling 1s, you'd be popping people out of their vehicles left and right. But they didn't write it that way. Instead, the truck gets +1 to hit. And I know that the writers of the book thought about that, and that was like a last-minute change, because that would have been so amazing if you could have, you would have seen 2 units of tank busters in trucks. That would have been 16 power of the army, and they would be popping people out of vehicles, or blowing up repulsor tanks, or hurting Contemptor dreadnoughts from across the board to soften them up for your boys. But they didn't write it that way. But the good news is, on some of these things, like the Mega Knobs, who have the knobs keyword is, they have a threat range of 25 inches now. So you can get out of the front of the truck. That's 3 inches away from the vehicle, plus 5 inches. In the case of my Mega Knobs, that's an additional 6 inches, and then they charge 2d6 plus 1 because of their fleet of foot. It's +1 to move and charge. And so that's like an average of 32 inches. If I had 7 to 25, that's an average threat range of 32 inches with my Mega Knobs, which I will take. But then they can't be Goth. So, I always take these guys as Goth, so that I can use Unbridled Carnage, or which is a really good stratagem for for exploding 5s instead of exploding 6s. So that kind of sucks there. Yeah, huge missed opportunity. I took a look at the Mad Boys one, and that's for bikers, and it's just too fucking random. It's way too random. You know, if bikers just had +1 strength, or they just had +1 armor save, or they had a 5+ jinx save or something. Oh, if I make a 5+, it's just like it's a cover save all the time. They did give them Cloud of Smoke, but it's just you roll a d3, and if you get a 5 or a 6, congratulations, you get +1 strength. And then this is something I didn't get. The Battle Wagon versus the Bone Breaker Wagon or the Gun Wagon. They have 3 different types of Battle Wagons. Why can't they just have 1 entry for Battle Wagon? But and it makes no sense. So the phrase, this has haunted me for like a decade. The Battle Wagon has no equipment. That's how they've written the last 3 Ork books. You get a Battle Wagon that has 0 bleeping equipment on it. 0 equipment. You have to buy the equipment for the Battle Wagon, which just makes me freaking mad. So the Battle Wagon starts at 125 points. The Bone Breaker at least has the Death Roller, and it starts at 175 points because it's got a toughness of 8. Alright? And they've got to stop doing this bullshit. It's just complete and total bullshit that it doesn't start with the kill cannon and 2 big shooters. If you ask me, it should start with those 2 weapons for 150 points. You pay 15 for the Death Roller, and you get a 165 point Battle Wagon. And instead, you know, when you kit out a Bone Breaker Wagon, it's like 240 points for the stupid thing. All that for Strength 8 and Toughness 8. And I think the wounds are somewhat enhanced. I think it just has 16. Yeah, it's just 16 wounds for both of them, but you're paying for the extra toughness. And so it just doesn't make any sense. And then another problem is they missed an opportunity to put... I think all of the battle wagons should be able to bring the Death Cannon. The only platform that has the Death Cannon is the Stompa. And this is a missed opportunity because Marines got las cannons for days. Why can't I have Death Cannons for days? I mean, I already hit on 5s and 6s, but I want something that's strength 10 with 3d6 shots that is -4 to your armor and will do d6 damage. And basically, when I have to hit you on 6s, if I'm lucky, I keep my average damage output with the Death Cannon is 9. So if you pay $215, you get no other weapons. You can't even have a death roll on it. You just get a Death Cannon, which would have been really, really good. But you can't have a Death Cannon on your battle wagons. And then if you really want to make the battle wagon more expensive, you can bring a kill cannon. You can bring big shooters on it. You can put a death roller on it, and you can fill it up with flash kits. But I don't think that the Bone Breaker wagon is open topped. No, the Bonebreaker wagon is not open top, so you can't shoot out of it. You have to use the battle wagon, which has 1 less toughness. So it's like a step backwards in every single direction. So I can't put flash kits in a battle wagon and have something that just have this massive gun platform because it's a Bonebreaker wagon. It costs 2 more power. Or it costs a few extra points. And so, you know, I didn't know if you knew this, but most of the time, a lot of time, hitting on 6s during the run of this crusade has bleeped me. It's bleeped me very hard. And so not being able to have the death cannon on multiple platforms, kind of a missed opportunity. If I could put it on a battle wagon, they'd be in my list immediately. I think they'd be in a lot of people's lists, and Marine players would be crying left and right, "Oh, you blew up my Dreadnought in 1 turn. That wasn't fair." So, and this is just over the course of the campaign. Again, let's see here. Oh, sucky units that I own or hate. This is a good one. The Boss Bunker. Fuck that thing. It's a piece of terrain, and they should have put a death cannon on it. If for 5 power, if you put a death cannon on a Boss Bunker, I guarantee you everybody would have bought it. That's 3d6 shots, strength 10, AP -4, and you would have had those things flying off of the shelves. But no, it's got glint and glare. You know, Marines got las cannons. Why can't I have death cannons? It just makes perfect sense. They're just, las cannons are slightly weaker, but they will hit you on a 3+ most of the time, re-rolling 1s and breaking your soul with their d6 damage because you didn't save it. The Death Dread sucks hard. I hate the Death Dread. This piece of shit has already been injured. It can't use any aura abilities. And I don't even know why you would bring it when you could bring a Mecha Dread. The Mecha Dread hits on 3+, and it has a ballistic skill of 4+, and it already comes with a kill cannon, which is a d6 heavy weapon, strength 8, AP 2 damage. Just use the Mecha Dread. For the love of God, use the Mecha Dread. Put 2 kill cannons on it. You know, you hit on 4s, you actually have something that can put out fire and hurt things. You know, you have weapons that work, and that's where orcs come up short. But you're orcs, man. Nothing's supposed to work. That's like a baby boomer telling me when I was 16 years old getting my first job. You know, $16 an hour. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, my first job. $6.18 an hour is a pretty good wage. You know, we could get a Mexican in here to bag groceries for $3.18 an hour. You should just be happy with that. And that was like every boomer boss ever. Meanwhile, I'm rich. I make $26 an hour as the grocery store manager, and my wife has a pretty good job too. There you go. That's orc shooting in a nutshell. Again. They bleep over Mad Doc Grotsnick. Why can't he have a 5+ Feel No Pain bubble to the unit that he's with, or make them cyborgs and give them a 5+ Invulnerable and the 5+ Feel No Pain, and then you bring back the Ard armor upgrade. That way you got 30 boys that got a 4-up armor, a 4-up armor, which is that's just the way the numbers work. It's a 4-up armor. 5+ Feel No Pain, 5+ Invulnerable. It would have been great to have that unit back in the book, just for the nostalgia purposes. Because Grotsnick, he's led a lot of armies over the years, and it's it's just the way they keep choosing to screw over certain characters. Again, they wanted to give you the final bleep you to the orcs. They cut the KFF down to 6. You have to use a stratagem now to boost it to 5.
Can I interest you in a butt fucking?
And it's like, you already have no armor. I'm sorry that one too many people made some 5-up saves one day during a tournament, and a bunch of Eldar and Space Marine players bitched about it. My other regret is War Bikers. I don't like the fact that it's 240 points for a unit of 9 of them with a Power Claw. You do get the knob for free. That is something, and he has 4 wounds. However, I really think the more appropriate points cost should be 20 points per bike, because they were 23 in the last book, and you should be able to bring at least 15 of them. 15 of them. They did give you Smoke Cloud, but that's a -1. It can't be combined with the Smoke Cloud stratagem, which sucks hard. If I can make you -2 to hit me, that's something. Commandos have that ability because they sneaky. That's, you know, you would have had some good synergies there to get some stuff into close combat. And the final regret on this one is the Gorgonaut. There is nothing sexually threatening about the Deathstorm Mega Shooter. At least make it a Marine Killer. Strength 7, AP 2, 2 damage each. Instead, it's just Strength 6, AP 1, and again, you're hitting on 5s, which makes God cry. It makes Mork and Gork cry, because it's just, you're not really ending lives, you know, or ending the vehicles with something like that. And it's, you know, it goes back to what I said, you know, you have a lack of opportunity for reliable ranged damage output. They have it, but if you don't own those models, you know, and I'm all about spreading the love through the entire army, not on certain units. And that's one problem Games Workshop has had historically, is that the meta completely shifts, and it's like, what's good? And it's like, Kyoa, da-da-ga-da-da, who is it today? Oh, it's Mega Knobs. Oh, it's the Mega Knobs again. Not knobs on bikes. It's the Mega Knobs. It's them. It's always the Mega Knobs. All right. So units that I wish I had so far as this thing is unfolded. Kill Tank. At short range, the main gun hits on a 4+, and it's only 15 power, and it's got a death roller. You can teleport that thing and then shoot and then run into somebody. It's great. I wish I had a Kill Tank. Squig Buggies. You got Grot Gunners on the heavy Squig Launcher, which is Assault 2d6, Strength 5, hitting on 4s, AP 2, damage 2. That's a Marine Killer right there. You got a bunch of Marines with their dicks in the wind, and they're out in the middle of the field. You roll up behind a forest where they can't see you, and you get to shoot them for free, because you do not have to see your opponent to shoot the Squig Launchers. And then when you get closer, you have another Squig Launcher that hits on Ork Ballistic Skill. And so, yeah, Rucka Truck Squig Buggies for the win there. And then, I wish I had Gazcool Thraka. What can I say? He's a big, bad orc. And then, the Beast Boss on a Squigosaur. A lot of damage output on that guy. He's a pretty good, I want to take that guy in my list every single time, just to pose another threat on the field, because he can do a lot of damage by himself. Kind of replacing the Knob Bikers, or the notion of, we finally come to the Squig Hog Boys. For 150 points, you get 6 of them. Then you add 65 points for a Smasher Squig. It's the fact that they're the same points as the bikes, and even though they're slightly slower, they're just slightly better. And they're just, what can I say? They're solid. They're a solid fight unit. Megatrax Scrap Jets, rocket cannons, yes please. And then Met Guns. I wish I had 3 Met Guns, each one with the Smasha gun on there, because Smashes are actually pretty reliable. You put 3 of those next to a Void Shield. Like I said, a missed opportunity for reliable shooting damage output is what the Orks kind of suffer from. You know, like I said, if I had 2 units of Tank Busters that hit on 3s, half of my problems would be solved during the run of this campaign. During the run of this crusade. So next we have units that I own and like. This is what I've been using the most of during the entire crusade. Before these guys got blooded, I bumped them up to 6. I bumped them up to 6 so that, you know, like, I've got a super unit of Mega Knobs now. So right now, let's see here. Who are my MVPs? The Mega Knobs are almost legendary. They're sitting at, let's see, what are they sitting at again? They are sitting at 42 experience points. They are heroic. They have +1 to their movement. They have Elite Warrior, Grizzled Veteran, and they actually picked up a Battlefield honor in one game, which made them, yeah, that was Veteran Warriors was their Battlefield honor. Blooded was Headhunters. Battle Hardened was that was Grizzled Vets, and then Heroic was +1 Fleet of Foot, which is +1 move, +1 to charge. And they've been dealing out most of the pain. People do not like them. I've also been making a lot of mad 6+ armor saves with them as well. And then you combine that with a reroll because of Feel No Pain. It's actually they've come through for me quite a bit. The other MVPs are the Killicans, the Knee Biters. I'm actually teleporting these guys out of the warp and then using ramming speed after I shoot. And it works out pretty nicely because I get 3d6 with these guys because they have the vehicles keyword, and I can just rush them into battle once I'm done shooting you. So I can shoot up one tank and then charge the melee unit next to it. These guys have been fighting the Necron Nightbringer or Cetan quite a lot. He's not able to deal with them because of all the enhancements that the Knee Biters are bringing. Let's see, where's their card? Ugh. Who is it today? It was, they've got Elite Crew, rerolls 1s to hit, and they have improved shielding, and they've got 26 experience points, which means they're about to level up. And the next one is my War Boss Face Crusher. He's got the Battle Axe of the Last Wa. I did pick up another Crusade relic in my last game, and Battle Axe of the Last Wa just times 3 to strength, really, really, really good, and he's already pretty burly, as you'll see in the showcase. I'll go through his card personally. I want to run more bikers, maybe. I'm running 9 of them now. We did a combat patrol size game at 25 power. I brought a unit of boys, my war boss, and 12 power and bikers, baby. And what can I say? They cleaned house. They pulled my ass out of the sling. And then Death Copters are kind of hit and miss. They are directly tied with my Tank Busters because they're the same power. But these guys did just become battle hardened, so I might be bringing them a little bit more. The Gorgonaut, or what is it called? It is Mork's Pile Driver. Is that what it's called? Yep, Mork's Pile Driver, not Tombstone Pile Driver. I've been using him. He's got rerolls of 1s to hit the combo. I've been teleporting him and using random speed to deliver. That's a 3d6 charge with mortal wounds on a 2+ to deliver headbutts to enemy tanks and everything like that, or enemy vehicles, or just to. I'll just throw him in against a giant unit of 20 Necron warriors, and he can stay there the entire turn. And they can't really hurt him because of his armor, and it's to bog them down to keep them from moving, basically. And he can also deal with the Cetan or the Nightbringer. So as for boys, I've got 2 units of 10, 2 units of 20. One is now heroic, and those are the Brown Pants boys, and those are the head kicker boys. Unit of 20 Ork boys, kicking ass and taking names. I got the Big Rigger Jim. This is a battle-hardened truck now, and I have yet to give it its next upgrade. I've already improved the shielding on this. I don't know if I'm going to give it protection against mortal wounds. I might, just so in the psychic phase I can be like, haha, I saved it against mortal, because my knobs are in there all the time. My knobs usually ride in the truck. So, this thing's got 16 experience points, which tells you we've been playing a lot, because you get 1 experience point per unit that participates in a battle. If the unit kills 3 units, it gets an additional experience points. I think this thing picked up a couple priority targets. It did. It ran into a Contemptor Dreadnought with ramming speed and blew it up, which with the Wrecking Ball and mortal wounds. It's like kaboom! And then, let's see here. Mork's Tombstone Pile Driver, 7. This is the big crumper in my army. He held on yesterday with a shit ton of damage dealt to him. He got down to 2 wounds. He held on for 2 turns because, again, you make your saves, you piss everybody off. I usually don't make saves, so I lose everything relatively quickly. He downed a Forge Fiend, a Fell Blade, not to mention 1 shot at a Dreadnought off the board, and this is a big four-way game that we played. In one turn, his turn one, I just shot a dreadnought. I death cannoned the dreadnought off of the table. Kaboom! You can't do shit, MFer. And he held on with 2 wounds. And then he finally blew up on the enemy. That was actually pretty funny. I've actually had this thing blow up on the Fellblade too. Finally, in the Crusade, I'm just going to talk really quickly about the units I'm having the most trouble with, or I hate to fight. Fellblade is number 1. The Fellblade is just a giant chaos tank, and it's better than the Stompa. And here's why. If I get into close combat, yeah, it dies every single time. But that thing gets to hit me on 3s, re-rolling 1s, and then that thing also gets to pop smoke, which means I get relegated to hitting it on 6s most of the time across the field. All right? The Necron Citan and the Nightbringer, things have been very tricky dealing with those 2 characters. They can only take 3 wounds per phase, and I have to be very creative, and a lot of times they're both on the field, and I've got to deal with both of them, not to mention all the Necron shit that he's bringing. It's never good. It's never good. I gotta be very studious in how I play Necrons. I did fight him to a draw in one game, and in another game I finally beat him. And then in one of the combat patrol games, I almost won. But it doesn't help when my friend, he rolls to bring back Necrons, and then he brings back 3 every single turn, and you don't do any damage, and you get ground down. When you go to Grindtown, you lose with Orks. Orks get dusted pretty quickly. Warp Talons, I don't like those guys. They got a lot of deep striking enemies, so I have to deploy in certain ways to zone out my enemy to keep them from coming up behind me. This also makes my movement very, very difficult. And so this is why one of the units that I wish that I had were commandos. Or if I'm bringing a Psyker, maybe I can move a unit of Grots onto an objective and let them shoot that for a turn with something. It's very tricky because my friend also has the most feared. This is the number 1, Red Butchers. They already got the +1 to charge when they come out of the warp. And then I think the first thing he did was enhance their movement on that. So they got +2 to the charge because of their battlefield honor when they became blooded. These guys, they can dish out 80 wounds a turn. Because they can fight 3 times for being the Mark of Khorne. They scare me. They are one of the most scary units that I've encountered during the entire Crusade, followed up by Terminators with the Mark of Slaanesh that get to fight twice. Other units I don't like fighting, or Commandos, because that's a unit I don't have. But you do. This is what the game's about. You work with what you have. And I don't think that many gamers do that. Or Commandos I have a lot of trouble with. The Commandos have won my buddy the game several times. Like, I tabled your whole army and, oh, okay, I didn't outscore you. Because again, movement is very difficult for me. And so, that's why I'm kicking around the idea of more bikes, maybe using the jump, I don't know. I have some strategies that I have yet to use or unleash. Because again, either you roll up the scenario, and if it's a combat patrol game, you don't get to bring in everything. If it's a 50 power game, you don't get to bring everything. If it's a 75 point power game, then you're cooking with fire. 100 points, you still got to be careful because they've also got their own levels of bullshit. I also hate fighting the Ork Squig Buggies, which my friend has, because he plays Orks too in this Crusade from time to time. Eldar Haywire Blasters, those suck. However, I do have a 5+ against mortal wounds, and when I make those saves and I repair the damage, it really hurts. All of a sudden, Haywire is no longer a thing. Contemptor Dreadnoughts, I hate the shit out of those things. And that's pretty much been the goings-on of the 40K campaign. Earlier this week, I went into the boxing gym with my buddy Bo, a.k.a. Asian Chad, and we did drills, and all we did was kind of just like, we took each other's hand down, and we tried to land a quick punch, and we bopped one another in the head with our boxing gloves on, and that was the whole thing. And we moved around a lot, and I started to sweat. Then we hit the heavy bag, and then he had me kick the tire, and my left shin is still purple from kicking the tire. But that was really good exercise. I want to get off of the couch more and over to the boxing gym, because that's one of my New Year's resolution, to take up a new hobby like boxing, like Japanese, and stuff like that. And finally, we're going to come to the last little bit here, which is building a character with an advanced Dungeons & Dragons character with DM James. So I was watching one of his live streams. If you're not subscribed to DM James, subscribe to him now. Really good stuff. It's kind of like whenever you're watching his live streams, it's like kind of being with a familiar, slightly older dude in the game store when you were a kid and things were still magical. That's the vibe I get from him. You know, and he can teach you things, but you're not old enough to play yet. That's the problem, you know. So, they wanted him to rank the best characters for starting out in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons. I did a small ranking, and just out of the ones I have here, if I had to start from the beginning, the three that I choose first, I'm going to choose I'll choose the Cleric, and I'll make him a dwarf, and I'll give him a wisdom of 15. He can cast 3 spells a day with a wisdom of 15. And he levels up at 1,500 points, which is a D8 extra worth of hit points. So you might have a guy who could have up to anywhere from 11 to 15 hit points at level 2. And that's nothing to shake a stick at, especially if he's got full plate armor and he's sporting a shield. He could be quite tanky if he's a dwarf. So that's something to think about there. If he's a dwarf or human cleric, not a bad choice. The fighter, always a good choice, especially if you've got a strength score of 17. You got +1 to your hit probability starting out, so your Thaco's already at 19, which is pretty good. And then finally the thief. Thief works. He gets to level up at 1,250, and you by level 2 or level 3. At level 3, you have 5,000 experience points, and you might be sporting a magic. You could be sporting somewhere up to hit points in the low 20s or high teens, depending on how well you roll and what you pick up. And you might actually have a magic dagger. So thief is no slouch. And then finally, I wanted to opt to create a human wizard, and now I can't find it. And so what I did was I rolled up the stats, while watching DM James. I rolled up the stats, 46, discarding the lowest, and I rolled that 6 times. And I didn't want to start from the bottom and have a guy who's like as weak as Stephen Hawking. You know, and you can't play a wizard in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons unless you have 2 fighters in the party, and there needs to be at least two other people in the party doing something else, like a healer and a thief. And then you have a wizard. You have to have at least 5 people. This is why you usually do the fighter-wizard combo. But I opted for the human wizard. I rolled up Strength 11, Dexterity 17, Constitution 15, Intelligence 17, Wisdom 11, Charisma 9. He's going to be kind of like a big know-it-all dick with that kind of charisma. His Constitution gives him +1 hit point, but it can never be above +2. If it were 16, he would have gotten +2, at least according to the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons rules manual. Tell me if I'm doing this right, DM James. His Dex gives him a further +2 to hit with a ranged weapon. Now the cool thing about the wizard is, and the rules, is anybody can use a sling. A sling is one of those weapons that you might learn to use as a small boy, like your mom's like, hey, go out and sling a rabbit real fast so we have some extra dinner tonight, okay? Because the vegetables we got just aren't going to cut it. And then with the sling, you have you can throw lead bullets, which are D4 +1. So I have a Thaco that starts at 18 with a sling. So he's not starting at 0. His Thaco also gives him +3 to his armor class, so he goes from having an armor class of 10 to an armor class of 7. Again, that's pretty good, considering the fact that anybody who rolls a natural 10 now will need to hit you on a 13. They'll need a 13 to hit your armor class. But of course, you got to stay away from everything. The equipment I opted to have was a quarterstaff, so that if I'm behind a fighter, I can actually shoot my quarterstaff over the top of his shoulder or something like that and take a free attack if I'm behind somebody or in a doorway. I have a dagger, and I have several... I have a lot of flask oil, and I have empty jars to make Molotov cocktails. Now, if I choose to throw a weapon at somebody, I have +1 to that, because it usually means I'm within about 10 to 15. If I'm anywhere within 10 to 15 feet, I've got a +1 for a thrown weapon. And plus, I don't even need to hit them. You know, I just need to hit the area that they're in, and then you have splash damage when I throw a Molotov cocktail. Because of my intelligence stat, I gain an additional 10% more experience points, and I can memorize 3 spells a day and use 2 at level 1, especially if I take the Evoker School of Magic. So I can always have Magic Missile, and then I can have a second spell. And after that, my equipment would be like 6 torches, pen and paper, backpack, and spell components. And that's how I would make a human wizard. We're going to go to the showcase portion now, and then we'll be back. So this is just a quick showcase of the Crusade Army that I've been putting together over time. We are easily 30 games in, maybe just a little bit less than that. You got the knobs right there. Those are the legendary knobs. They're the big kickin' boot boys. And right now they are currently sitting next to the Big Rigger Gym, which is the truck with the big red ball on it, which is now battle hardened. It's a battle hardened truck with 16 experience points. It's already got improved shielding. I don't know if I'm going to give it a blessed hull to fend off mortal wounds. But these guys are the Mega Knobs themselves are sitting on 42 experience points, 3 Crusade points. They have Veteran Warriors, reroll 1s to hit. They have, for their, that was for, what do you call it? That was a battle honor. For Blooded, they have Headhunters, which is +1 to hit and wound on enemy characters, and they have ended the life of many a character in this game. Not to mention for Battle Hardened, they got Feel No Pain, and when they became Heroic, I gave them Fleet of Foot for +1 movement and +1 when they charge. So they've progressed really nicely. Next to them is my legendary unit of brown pant boys. Let's go down here. You can see that they all have brown pants and red shirts. And these are the head kicker boys with 33 experience points, 2 Crusade points. They have +1 to move and charge now. They are grizzled veterans, and they have veteran warriors, which is the reroll to 1 now. And then these guys, they actually got hurt, so I decided to take all the experience points away from them at one point. So they're lagging a little bit behind, but these guys, they've done some legendary things. So they just became battle hardened again, and I gave them grizzled veteran, Feel No Pain of 6+, so that they have a little bit more survivability and things like that. And hopefully they can get up to Heroic too. Over here we got the Big Boot Boys. The Big Boot Boys, they are just blooded, or a unit of Ork Boys, 10 strong. They've got the +1 to move as well. Over here we got the Gorgonaut. I haven't used this in that many battles. It's got 10 experience points, and it's got a custom job on it, shocker hull, and it's got the elite crew rule right now, so it rerolls 1s. Next to that are the BBQ Boys. They haven't seen any battle. It's just a unit of 5 burners with a mech. A unit of 4 burner boys with a mech boy inside of it, and he's got a big shooter. They have not seen any combat. And then the Blitzwings, which are my Storm Boys, which I desperately need to rebase, they have not seen any combat. It's been a very brutal fighting throughout this entire Crusade. We'll go over there. We got the Buzzcocks gang. They have seen a lot of fighting. As a matter of fact, they just became, battle hardened. I gave them elite crew this time, so that they have rerolls of 1 to hit with their rockets. And just above them you can see the Tank Busters with their truck, and that truck doesn't have a special name yet. Neither does the other truck. I've just barely added it. As a matter of fact, that truck with the Wrecking Ball, the Silver Wrecking Ball, only has 2 experience points. I think maybe 3. But they're usually tied for usage because it costs the same amount of power to use either the Buzzcocks gang, which are the Coptas, or the truck with the tank busters, and it's really hit and miss. Tank busters also have Elite Warrior, which is rerolls, and these guys are the big poppers because they pop people out of vehicles. Yeah, Elite Warrior on them. And so right here in the center, we got Boss Gallo with his war banner. You can see him right there. It's got the Beastman head on it and the decal in the center of it. That's Boss Gallo with his war banner. He actually has a Crusade relic, 8 experience point. He's got Dead Art armor, and that's what I decided to take. I took a Crusade relic, which gives him +1 wound and a 3+ armor save. And then I'm probably going to give him a weapon enhancement to make his WA banner and melee be armor piercing 1 or something like that, because right now it's got an AP of 0. It's just +2 to his strength. And then you got the boss Wartfinger. This guy right here is the weird boy with all the crazy hair. I don't know how well you can see him. I've only used him in 1 fight. And then I've got Hernandez. That's my mech boss in Mega Armor. He fixes things, so I gave him a Mexican name. Yeah, that's right. I called you a Mexican name. You want to do something about it, bitch? You ain't get no respect till you earn it. And then over there you got Big Boss Face Crusher. This guy, he's legendary. He's just picked up another Crusade relic. I don't know if I'm going to give it to him. It is the... he's got the Battle Axe of the Last Wa, and he can actually carry the Null Field now, which is what I've got in the army. I don't know if I'm going to give that to a different boss, which I have the rec points for. Maybe run a boss on a war bike with a Null Field. That might actually be pretty funny. But he's sporting 55 experience points, brutal weapon, +1 to hit, +1 to wound, battle hardened, artisan bionics, feel no pain, get back up, which is actually pretty good. Architect Nanomed, I get back up on a 2+ with D3 wounds, and then the legendary Choppa of the Great Wa, and my honor is heroic constitution, so I have +1 wound. He is a big bad orc, and that is Big Boss Face Crusher right there. He has won a lot of duels in this. He's killed a lot of chaos guys, I'll tell you that much now. He's a super cyborg, and he takes half damage, and I subtract 1 from the result. So he's pretty good. And the battle axe times my strength by 3, so I am actually strength 19 when I charge, because it's +1 for my clan culture, and then my AP is -4 when I charge as well. So he's been pretty killy. Over here we got the Hell's Wind Gang, 9 more bikers, and these guys actually did really good in their first 2 games. The day I used them, it was Combat Patrol, and they picked up grizzled veterans so that they would have a feel no pain, and that's them right there. And they've already got 9 experience points. Right there in front, you got the Tooth Chipper boys. They're the exact same as the Big Boot boys. They're just another unit of 10, and they can ride around in trucks and stuff. That's why there's only 10 of them. So you know, just that I can be flexible with this 150 power. Over here I have the Suck. The Suck is the Death Dread. The Death Dread sucks. He's already been wounded, he's been killed in every single battle, he's finished off a few things, but he's never gotten like Priority Target or Reaper. Over there we got the Knee Biters, which are my Killicans, and they're kind of my MVPs with the knobs. And finally we come to Mork's Tombstone Pile Driver, which is the Stompa, and let's face it, this guy's done all of the crumping. This is a Stompa with, I want to pick him up a battlefield honor. He is legendary. Masterwork damage, so his Super Gatler is damage 2, which is actually a good marine killer. The Blessed Hull, 5+ ward against mortal wounds. Improved shielding, a 2+ armor save. Elite Crew, rerolls of 1, reroll 1s when attacking. He's done a lot of headbutting as well. So the next thing I was actually going to add would be that Void Shield over there on the shelf, and a boss on a bike, because I got the bikers now. And then I have another unit of copters, so there's really no point to showing them. But that's how these guys have progressed during the campaign. I hope this helps. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this cobbled together show. Shout out to Miller's Miniatures. I have 13 Black Orks. If you want them, let me know. Shout out to Role Playing the Right Way with DM Janes. Thanks for having me. Thanks for acknowledging me whenever I seem to chime in. I like watching you, so let that be known. I like, especially when I'm painting or if I'm, like last night, I fell asleep. I think he finished at 4 a.m. just painting and chatting. And I'm sorry I fell asleep on that one. Stay metal, my friends. Keep painting, keep fighting, and just stay metal. See you in the next one.
Even you, puppy dog. Hey, you need to grow a sack!